So during today's live class meeting, a lot of interesting points were made. So one of the things you mentioned was if you can't maintain it, don't train it. And I agree with this. I know that one thing we talked about was just ongoing training after getting like the initial training. So a lot of us, will get trained at the beginning of starting a job, and then there's no ongoing training to help maintain those skills. So I know at my current position, we have something called safety care. So it's a training we get when we first start, and then every year we do another recertification. And I actually just went to my safety care training last week for my recertification, and I realized that after a year, some of the skills that I thought I had because I had the initial training have kind of like regressed. So that's why it's so important to maintain after initial training. So I do agree with that statement. And one of the questions posed was, what are some of the barriers to just staff training and just kind of progress within the organization, and just training overall? So my thought process was kind of what my peer said was staff engagement, but specifically I was thinking about just motivation. And granted, if a training is required, it's required. So motivation does play a role, but if that's the expectation, the employee has to adhere to it. But just trying to figure out how to get employees a little bit more motivated to complete trainings at a, you know, faster pace, or being more consistent with their trainings or initiating trainings or whatever the case is. So I know like with the safety care, like I was talking about, it's a very long, drawn out, all day training. So the motivation is kind of on zero for that. So just trying to figure out how to get employees motivated for training. I know specifically when it comes to those online training modules that, for example, CPR training, when you're doing the online video modules, you can kind of just click through it and not really engage with it. There is a test at the end that you have to pass, but these trainings are typically not meant for you to fail. So is the individual truly learning, or are they just kind of doing something to meet a criteria or expectation? So I think just trying to figure out how to get staff more engaged, and then setting expectations, and then trying to figure out what trainings need to be ongoing and what trainings can be on one and done. Another question that my classmate posed was, if we are, incorporating these specific trainings and criteria, and curriculums, or curricula, I guess. Um, is there a certain person who is trained on this and is expected to roll out this training, or does this job fall on like, is this an added job onto a current like position, right? So today during our leadership meeting, we're talking about, we have like group supervisions that all of our BCBAs are expected to do twice a month. It's basically like CEU type of training, but it's not officially CEU. And we're talking about just making the training more standardized and just more intentional. And the question then become like, is it now on us as the regional directors to make this training more intentional, or are we going to hire someone or promote someone or delegate someone to focus on this change and make sure it's structured? So I think when it comes to developing trainings and adjusting trainings, we have to really be intentional about who is responsible for what role, or for what outcome, and then what role does everybody play. And then the question of how does OBM continue the growth trajectory? I think just teaching more about OBM to organizations. So one thing my classmate mentioned was pinpointing. So pinpointing is basically specifying a behavior that needs to be improved and then creating strategies to improve that behavior. So I think the challenge is a lot of organizations are using OBM strategies but aren't really accrediting OBM. And I think it's similar to like ABA, right? Like in society or throughout the world, a lot of us are using ABA strategies and principles, but since ABA is such a underdog field, many people won't be like, oh yeah, that's an ABA strategy. They won't know that you're using that strategy. So I think just bringing more awareness to OBM and teaching organizations about OBM, and embedding it in like HR trainings and HR research, which I'm sure that there it is embedded in there, but really focusing on bringing OBM to the surface so that organizations are not only aware of it, but the more aware they become of OBM and the strategies used in OBM, the more likely they're going to research more OBM strategies and incorporate these in, organizational trainings or organizational missions and goals. So yeah.